If you feel like you're doing all the things, like you're eating healthy, you're working out, you're trying to be consistent, but you're still not seeing any changes in your body, I want to simplify all of this for you today. Because fat loss for women has gotten way too complicated, especially with all that we have access to with social media. So the truth is, you really only need 3 things. Not 20 habits, not counting every macro, not killing yourself in the gym every single day. It's just 3 things. So if you are watching my videos for the first time, hello, my name is Tiffany Brown and I'm a certified health and life coach. I've been helping women lose fat, gain strength, balance their hormones, and heal their metabolisms, regulate their nervous system. And I do all of this through ancestral nutrition, movement, and lifestyle. And what I've seen over and over again, both with my own journey and with my clients, is that the women who get results are not doing more. They're actually doing less, but they're focusing on the right things. So that's what we're going to be jumping into today. So let's break down the only 3 things that I want you to focus on if you are really wanting to make changes in your body. So to jump right in with number 1, this is huge. You have to actually nourish your body. Okay. So this is where I see so many women unknowingly sabotaging themselves. And we've gotten in this habit and we've received this program of deprivation, restriction. So women are under eating, skipping meals, living off of coffee, or eating a lot of diet foods, low calorie foods that aren't actually nourishing. And these foods can often be kind of like greenwashed or like health washed, labeled as healthy, high protein, keto, and they're not actually providing nourishment. So your body doesn't feel safe to burn fat if it thinks it's being deprived. So nutrients are more important really than paying attention to calories. So instead of focusing on eating less, I want you to focus on eating better. So what does this look like? That's going to be prioritizing protein, and I encourage the focus on animal protein. This is going to be providing you with far more micronutrients than any other type of protein source is going to, not to mention the proper balance of amino acids to support building the tissues of your body, including your muscle tissue, which is something we really want to be gaining, especially as we get older. Healthy fats, crucial, ideally animal fats. This is going to provide far more nutrition and hormonal support for your body than any other types of fat sources. And then overall, just choosing real whole foods. So fruits, vegetables, just 1 ingredient foods, right? Foods that don't require a label. So if you tolerate grains, make it whole, think rice, quinoa. You can get into beans and legumes and all of these things, which I dive into in other videos, to be properly prepared so you can actually utilize the nutrients in them and lower the anti-nutrient content of these foods so you're able to actually get the nutrition out of them. So this is going to stabilize your blood sugar, supports your hormones, and actually turns on your metabolism. This is food that our bodies understand. Our hunger and fullness cues can better come online. And, because fat loss starts with nourishment. Okay, so this is something that is essential for our bodies to be able to get that signal that it's safe to burn fat. Point number 2 is to move your body, right? I mean, this is a no-brainer. We all know it, but there's smarter movements to be making throughout your day. And there's other ways that we're all just like spinning our wheels quite literally, right? So I always encourage to make the switch from chronic steady state cardio to these few things now that I'll mention here in a second. Steady state cardio can be done to a degree, especially if they're exercises that you enjoy, like dancing, or if you do enjoy running, you can. But I would recommend keeping these things at a minimum once or twice a week with the steady state cardio, and no longer than like 20 or 30 minutes. Really, after about 15 minutes of steady state cardio is when your body is starting to make that shift of raising cortisol, starting to conserve energy, and it's not going to be heading you in the direction that you want. In addition to that, studies show that you're not going to be reducing visceral fat as efficiently with steady state cardio. So in general, especially with the amount of stress that we already have in our day-to-day lives, I would encourage backing off the cardio. Now, what to incorporate? Is going to be strength training with progressive overload. I'm not going to get into all the details and ins and outs of these things, but progressive overload is to be gradually increasing your weight, lifting to close to failure and gradually increasing your weight, reps, sets that you're doing, however that looks like over time to be actually gaining strength. Daily movement like walking. So if you want to ditch the steady state cardio, begin walking, and especially doing it outside in nature. This is going to help to keep cortisol low. This is a way for our bodies to feel safe and to regulate stress. So daily walks outside, easy strolls. You can choose to add on a weighted vest for a little extra resistance, great for bone density, but no need to be doing that every single time you're going out for a walk. Sometimes it's just nice to take an easy stroll, low pressure, no extra weight. And last but not least, it's getting more just daily movement in throughout the day. So not necessarily time set aside for a walk per se, but it could look like a walk, like short 10-minute walks in between meetings, but this is going to be like, squats at your desk or doing some pacing while you're on the phone. Any kind of activity like cleaning, ways that you're going to be just moving your body, lifting things, light things like throughout your day. But this is also going to be kind of that typical, like take the stairs instead of the elevator, or parking a little further away from the store, actually going to the store. We've kind of gotten to this place where it's like everything is so conveniently ordered online. We can have groceries delivered to our doorstep. And this is one thing that I really encourage clients. I've seen the proof of it being a huge needle mover with daily movement is actually going to the store and walking through the store. This is another way, and this is from a more ancestral approach. It's hard for us to feel connected to our food these days. So, delivery is just one more way that we're removing ourselves from our food. So I would encourage you, you're getting so much out of actually going to the grocery store, picking out your cuts of meat, picking out your produce, being able to hold something in your hand, turn it around to look at the label. Sometimes like the ingredients, the nutrition facts and the ingredients aren't always made available to you when you're ordering from your grocery store online. So to be able to be there and feel that level of connection really goes a long way. I know personally, I notice a huge difference for myself and like, what am I buying? What did I get? When you're just kind of clicking and tapping on a screen. And then also just picking out your produce and even just items that can expire. I can't tell you how many times. Maybe please put it in the comments if you can relate to ordering something, to be delivered and then it like expires tomorrow, or you're looking at the produce, they pick out these blueberries and there's like a ton of mold, like they didn't even look at it before they put it in the cart. So I'm sure you've already had that kind of experience where you're like, I should be picking all of this out on my own. So you're getting a lot of bang for your buck by actually showing up at the grocery store because you're walking through the parking lot, you're walking through the store. So even the movement of picking things up off the shelf, putting them in your cart, all of that is going to be contributing to your overall daily movement. And tracking, if you have a way of tracking it, can just help you gain, like I use an Oura Ring, there's Whoops. Whoops I think are great. You can get, you can be tracking this on like a smartwatch or even like your phone if you have it on you to be kind of tracking your steps. But all of these things, they build muscle, improve your metabolism, and help your body actually use the food you're eating in an effective way. So movement should support your body. It shouldn't drain it, right? So if you are going to the gym and you're doing some workouts, you want to, or, doing home workouts or whatever, you want to feel energized, have more energy after your workout than be like crawling out of the gym. The goal is not to just be dripping sweat. High intensity interval training or sprint interval training are also kind of more advanced exercises that I will encourage my clients to do. But even that's like once or twice a week. And those sprint interval trainings are, 30 seconds of high intensity and then giving yourself a couple minutes of rest and recovery in between those sprints, and really only allowing them to be, 4, 5, 6 times. And that's really all you need to be effective. So some of these HIIT classes say, they're 45 minutes to an hour. That is far too long and unnecessary for a HIIT workout. So consider, if you do enjoy those, shortening those and letting those be closer to 20 or 30 minutes. Okay. And point number 3, and this is a big one, and this is something that should be implemented no matter what your program looks like, is regulating your nervous system. So, you have to, this is essential for your body to feel safe to burn fat for fuel. So if your body is constantly in a stressed or fight or flight state, it's not going to be prioritizing fat loss, right? It's prioritizing survival. It's focused on running from a tiger or whatever. And unfortunately, a lot of our stress today isn't actually running from a tiger, right? So cortisol, we want to be moving. Our bodies need to move through that and be utilizing it with movement. And so oftentimes, our day-to-day stress is all up in here, right? And we're doing our work. It's the emails. It's thinking about our kids. I just actually, before recording this training, was meeting with my daughter's teachers, and we're realizing that she might have a kind of like mild case of dyslexia. And so we're starting to take steps towards supporting her in that, in her education. She's just ending her first grade year. So we're really wanting to get to this early. Excuse me, my camera. But, these are stressors. These are things that keep us up at night, right? So we really need to be focused on making our bodies feel safe, regulating our stress and cortisol levels. Stress also impacts blood sugar and insulin, which is encouraging fat storage too. So it's layered, right? So this can look like high cortisol, poor sleep, constant fatigue. I really suffered with this one for a long time, but it's a layered thing. And, get into it in other videos. But yeah, and then especially that stubborn weight gain around the midsection that you can't get rid of. So, what this is going to look like for you, potentially. Here's just some examples. A big one is slowing down your eating. So when it comes to kind of how you eat, how you show up to eating, no matter what the food is that you're eating, if you're showing up in a stressed state and you can't slow down, your body's not going to be absorbing the nutrients like what we talked about in number 1. And it's not going to be breaking it down properly. It can contribute to leaky gut and other digestive issues, disruptions in the microbiome. I mean, the list kind of goes on. And again, it's going to be encouraging that fat storage when you're in a stress state. So slowing down, taking some deep breaths before you eat, chewing more than you feel like you should, kind of not saying that you have to count every bite, every chew of every bite, but to just be gaining more awareness, being able to put your fork down when you're eating, actually sitting down while you're eating, right? Not eating on the go. All of this makes a huge difference in that nutrient absorption and bloating, and even just like feelings of anxiety. There's all sorts of things that really tie into the quality of our digestion. So, getting sunlight. This is another crucial one, to being able to spend some time sitting out in the sun. You can do this in, times of day where the sun isn't as strong if you're concerned about your level of sun exposure. But this is getting sunlight without protection. So doing these in the morning hours or late afternoon, early evening hours, now that we're kind of entering into the summer months. I'm sure we're all going to be naturally getting a little bit more sunshine, but it's so easy to get cooped up inside all day. So taking those breaks, like talking about taking short walks, getting that movement in throughout the day and getting outside, deep breathing, and just getting the fresh air, listening to the birds, getting out in nature. But yeah, deep breathing where the inhale is through the nose and the exhale out through the mouth through pursed lips. And the exhale being longer than the inhale. I am going to be putting so much more up on nervous system regulation on my channel. So, be sure to if you've enjoyed this so far and the information that I've provided you, be sure to give this a like, leave me a comment about what you're getting out of this so far, and be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'd love to see this channel grow so I can help more women, but you can keep up to date on various videos that I'm going to be doing on with guided meditations and also EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique. This is incredible for regulating the nervous system, activating the parasympathetic. So we have the sympathetic or fight or flight, and the parasympathetic, which is rest, digest, and heal. So definitely subscribe if you're wanting to be able to see more videos on ways to help regulate your nervous system. So this is going to be allowing your body to relax and feel safe and let go. Okay, so just to recap, instead of doing all the billion things and making it super complicated, it's really just the three things. It's nourishing your body. Let this be with whole, simple foods. Don't overcomplicate this. Number 2 is moving your body daily, skipping out on the steady state cardio that raises cortisol, and sticking to strength training, daily walking, maybe some occasional sprint interval training, and just your overall daily movement throughout the day. And so this is the best that we can do to be mimicking the daily lives of our ancestors, right? These are the movements of our ancestors. None of our ancestors were just running and running and running. They would be like, why would you be wasting your energy doing that? This is just not the way. And to add to the regulation of the nervous system is creating moments of calm and proper rest throughout the day, right? So to summarize, number 3, we talked about regulating the nervous system, and I almost left this out. And this is to just really be intentional about rest. And I think especially, I can't say especially women, because men have their own reasons for just pushing and go all the time. In Western society, we just are going, and the productivity equals worth, and all of these things, these lies that we tell ourselves, that I just want you to know that you are worthy because you exist. And you deserve rest. And rest is also productive. If you need a workaround in your brain, reprogramming your brain to say, my rest is productive because it allows me to show up the way that I need to show up when I need to show up, right? And this includes, this can be meditation, this can be taking a nap, just sitting and enjoying. I've got a view out my back deck, and I love to just sit out there and listen to the birds and watch. We have some foxes, and I saw a possum the other day, little critters running around, and not looking at your phone, right? Doom scrolling on social media is not rest, okay? So just because you're sitting down doesn't mean you're resting. So take true, proper rest for yourself and let yourself know that you deserve it because you exist, and you are worthy because you exist. Okay, so I'll leave you with that. Again, if you got anything out of this, please let me know. in the comments if this simplified things for you. Be sure again to like this video, subscribe to my channel. I talk a lot about fat loss, hormones, creating a body and a life that you actually feel good being in. So I'd love to hear in the comments what you got out of this video. And yeah, let me know. I read all the comments. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you are in need of more support, I do provide one-on-one coaching with my Revitalize Your Health program. If you're curious to know more information, if it's a good fit for you, I currently, at the time of the recording of this video, provide free discovery calls. So you can click the contact in the description of this video to reach out to me about setting up a time to talk, and we can talk about, what your struggles are, what you've been doing, and what an action plan would look like that I would set up for you. And you're able to just kind of take that and run with it, or we can talk more about what it would look like to work together. All right, so I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.